Alright, welcome back for part 2. Got my paints laid out on a new piece of palette paper. Paint on here, fully dry. Gave it a full 24 hours to cure. Longer than it needed, but it'll work. So of course, I'm going to take Mr. a little misting bottle here. Spray a little bit on top of our paints, keep them drying out. And spray a little bit on top of that palette paper to keep our mixtures from drying out. Alright. So let's go ahead, take our 1/2-inch brush here. Now let's mix up some more of this skin tone here. Take some yellow ochre. A little bit of brilliant red. Some of that milky white. Let's put a little bit of umber in there too. Now, I'm going to paint over this neckline because it's not shaped right. It's not shaped how I want. So go ahead. Painting over those shadows too. I'll still peek through a little bit, but not a whole lot. And remember, in this step, if you go over the lines a little bit, that's fine. Because we still got to put in our shadows, and highlights, shape of the glasses, go over it, the hair will go over it. And go over the lips a little bit there. I'm not completely go over the mouth, but it's not going to hurt at all. To get a little bit of that in there. Or over it. All I'm doing here is I'm just warming up that color a little bit. By getting a second base coat in there, or also evening that tone out some. And it should look, if you're using white palette paper like I am on this black background, you're going to want your paint on here to look a little darker than you think it should. Because it'll look lighter when it's against that dark background color. Let's go ahead and go glasses here. So again, that dark will peek through a little bit. Gives a rough outline. Put that color. We're going to go over the nose here too. As you can see, some of that dark is still poking through. So we still have our guidelines. I'm going to just make it a little easier to smooth that all out. Let me get our other colors in there. The part I'm really not going over is the eye. Now we can go over that too. Okay. I'll put a little more here. And what the heck, let's go ahead and just go right over that mouth again. That way the lip color will blend pretty seamlessly into our flesh tone. Alright, now we do need a little shade on Miss Maybell here. For that, I'm going to kind of go over into this corner of our flesh color And I'm going to pull in some more burnt sienna. No, that was too much of that phthalo. I wanted a little green there to cool it a little bit, but not quite as much. We can just kind of blend right in the middle. Maybe. Just a teeny touch of black kind of on the corner of the brush there. Get too much, just wipe it somewhere else. Again, it should still look, when you're on your white canvas paper, a little bit darker than you want it to look on your painting. You can go ahead and start working in that shadow. Because we have that new layer skin tone that's nice and wet, really easy to blend it out. Soften those edges just by pulling up and down along. This room in the video is lit by candlelight, so you're not going to have the harshest shadows for the most part. On the edges you want a little bit darker. And kind of use that same color and build it up in layers a little bit. If anything, take just another teeny touch of black and go back in there to darken it a little more. There we go. And again, it's blending right on canvas. So you really don't need to mix as much on your palette paper. Get a little shadow on this side too, just from the shirt. Blend it out. I think we need a little more right here. And that on this side I feel like is pulled out a little too far. So we're going to clean our brush. Go into our skin color. Just go back over that. Make the line thinner. And then we can blend that shadow color. It's still good and damp. I went over shirt color there a little bit, so I'm just going to take a little bit crimson, a little bit black. Just clean that up a little. We'll do the same over here. I think we need a little more on that side, maybe even a little more black. That. I think the brush, I got some streaks here I got really long, so go back in and blend those out. Alright, let's take a little 1/8 inch brush back into that shadow color. Load it up. We'll start with where the chin is here. Should be the flattest part of the chin should be just about as wide as the shadow that we'll have on the bottom part of the lips. Reshape. I need to do on these edges. I'm just going to take a touch of black. just kind of went over our edges. Just straightening it, thins that face a little bit, gets it closer to the actual shape. And I think that'll work. Well, we have the mouth there. I think I want to mess with the neck too much there. Maybe just a little more. Get a little more of that black mixed into that shadow. And then again, clean your brush. Go back and blend it. If it doesn't want to blend too much, just dip it into your cup of clean water. Go back in there. I had a little too much on there. Yeah, I did. It'll take a little extra work to blend it even, but it's still gonna blend pretty even, as you can see. Now I actually think take a little bit of that milky white into our skin color. I feel like in the frame I grabbed from Goodnight Moon's video, there's a little bit of light. I'm using the milky white rather than the titanium white, so it automatically adds a little warmth. There's just a little tiny titch of yellow in it. Is that pure white? Would almost be a little too, almost cooling in a way. And this one is more warm. Then blend the edges into the shadow again. All right. Now I'm going to take a little bit of water. Dip and shake. A little more of that shadow color. Kind of starts under the nose here a little bit. That's a little too bright. Maybe instead of using green, that is strong. Sometimes I forget just how strong that crimson can be. This is why I put a little of that phthalo in both to cool it and tone down that crimson. Let's go ahead and get a little more water into there. Keeping this good and wet. Not only help us blend that shadow color in, but it also picks up a lot of that excess paint. Now, some of it had dried a little bit on there, so we're just going to go into that flesh tone. That edges. Yeah, I'm going to need to kind of redo that whole section, I think. First things first, we'll try to salvage it. If it doesn't work, cover it and go again. Okay. I got too much paint on the brush, and it's a little bright. I'm leaving mistakes that I make when I'm painting. For a simple reason. That's to show you that it's not too hard to fix. Just attack that problem right away. And it's a lot easier to fix than you'll think. It's not worth getting bent out of shape over. That goes for life as well as painting. All right, so let's try it again. Let's get the water in it right away this time. Touch more sienna. Just a little bit of that phthalo green on the corner of the brush. A little more sienna too. Okay, now let's go back in. This time I'm going to start from down. A little darker to just touch more. I'm using that burnt sienna for that. Crimson is too strong. I'm not going to make that mistake again. Any area where you feel like your shadow line is a little too thick, just paint over it. I don't know how well this is showing up on camera, because in this layer there's not a whole lot of variation between our skin tone and our shadow. There'll be more right now. It's blocking in that general kind of shape. What I want that shadow to look like. Let's go ahead and clip on our microphone. That's going to make this a bugger to edit. But that's okay. It'll be worth it in the end if it helps you learn something, or even just helps you relax. I don't care which option it is that you're choosing to watch my videos. I just hope you like them. If you do, feel free to hit that like and subscribe. A little more of that same shadow just on this side of the nose, coming down a little bit. And a lot more on this side of the nose coming down. I do have on my easel here just a few 4x6 prints I went and got made of some of these screen grabs. And what that does, it helps me to sketch in the detail, but it also gives me a good baseline of where these colors should go. You know, 29-cent instant prints make your life a lot easier. You're not sitting there having to stare at a tablet screen and turn it back on when the screen goes black. And it also gives you a little more realism in the colors, because it's not backlit. It's the light is hitting the photos the same as it's hitting your canvas. Whereas with a phone or a tablet screen, the light's coming from outside, and it can kind of skew your perspective. So brush some of the paint off where the eye is there. All right. Now I do want some of the shadowed areas a little bit darker. I'll take just a touch of black, mix it into that shadow. Let's go ahead and take Mr. Mister. Thin it out some. Right. And that's just going to blend and swerve, so we're going to let that area dry right now. I'll come back to it later. Blend out as much as can. Yeah, let's take some of that shadow color off and give me some of those weird outlines again. I'm just going to blend that as much as I can and leave it. So we have some rosy areas on Miss Maybell's cheeks we can paint in. For that, I'm going to mix up a little more of our skin tone again. And this time we're going to add just a little touch, and I mean a little touch of scarlet. It's not take very much. It's not scarlet, that's crimson. But whatever color it is, don't add very much. It's a very vibrant color and really overwhelms the other pigments in there. And just a little more touch of the brilliant red too. And this kind of blush color mixes. Oh, that's not differential enough. But I can only fix that area up a little bit. We want it. Let's go ahead. Another touch of scarlet. See what I mean there? See how quickly? Just getting a little dot on the corner of the brush. Change the whole color complexion of that. All right, we'll try this again. There we go. That actually might be just a touch too on the pink side. So I'm going to mix in a little more on that yellow ochre. Yeah. Original color was close. It's just a little too cool. That scarlet. I keep saying scarlet. That crimson. Cooler on the red side. Go ahead and add a touch of yellow ochre to that too. Add too much. That's a good rouge color. Rouge blush. So Maybell is an awkward character. Probably embarrassed about something. All right, clean the brush. And get in there and smooth those edges out. And a little more of that base skin tone. A little too hard over here. Definitely blend it a little bit. Take a little more. Just on the side of the face here. And I think we'll do the same thing. Gonna do the same thing over here. Might as well soften these edges a little bit while I have a little bit of that color on this brush. It's pulled really thin on the paper, so I'll have to work to get enough of it onto your brush, but it's worth it. Okay. Now some of these shadow areas need to be a little darker than others. I'm going to start with a touch of black and some sienna. I want a little more sienna than that. We'll see how that works. Really need shadow here on the glasses. In fact, yep, a little more black. And then a little more sienna. And we're just kind of putting in shadow from the glasses frames on her face here. And have a little more coming out here on the nose. Again, it's not very harsh, so we do want to soften it a little bit. Not as much as we did on those signs, though. The background. And then we have the same thing over here. You can put a little color for the hair in there. Shadow color is pretty close to our hair color, so why not? It's getting a little dry, so a couple little splashes of water. While we have this color, let's put a little bit down here at the bottom of the chin. Straighten those lines a little bit. And then I'm going to take my 1/8 inch brush. Not all the way down the nose. Just kind of cut in a little bit of a line on the side of that nostril. In fact, let's go ahead and get those nostrils in a little bit. Over here, there's some shade on this side. blend that in a little bit. Over on this side, there's a little bit of a shadow. Not nearly as pronounced, so we're going to take some of that shadow color, and I'm just going to mix in some of that flesh tone. Maybe some of that. And just very gently, put a little color there. Paint's asking me for a little water, and I'm going to oblige. A little color there. A little color on the bottom of the nose. Shape that in a little more. Clean this brush. And mix more flesh color over here. This time I want it a little bit lighter, though. A little more. And we just got a few highlights to put in on the side of the nose here. Shape it a little bit. Right there. A little bit here. A little bit in here. And a little bit right here. And again, clean the brush. Just going to flatten those out. Blend them in a little bit. Pull that across you. Right, let's get our skin tone mixed again. A little highlight bottom of those glasses. A little over here too. Maybe right along the edge here, there's a little light hitting her. Other side, yeah. Right there. I'll take some of that brown shade color. I'm using this small brush. I'll pull in a little bit of hair coming down here. Bring that one down a little more. I'm just going to take a little black here. Come in here and reshape that ear. And do the same over here. Clean that. A little more of that somewhat highlighty flesh. Just our earlobe here, we're going to brighten that up a touch. Might even to brighten that a little bit more. And pull it flat. I've got a little bit over here too. It's not as bright, but I also don't have as much color on the brush, so that'll work just fine. All right, let's go ahead and get these lips painted in. First thing, I want to take that shadow color just right along the bottom of her lip. Dark streak of shadow follows the shape of her chin. And I think her chin has just a tiny little bit of clefness to it, so we're just gonna dot in gently again. A little more shadow right down there. And I can't tell if it's paint or if she has a little freckle right there. But I think the freckle looks cute, so we're just gonna dot it in. All right. So let's get a lip color mixed up. We're gonna use our 3/8 inch brush for that. Make sure it's good and clean. Get a little water. And just again mix crimson, a little more milky white, maybe a touch of that brilliant red to warm it, and then a little more milky white. And we're just kind of going in right now with actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and take that 1/8 inch brush again. Some black. I'll put it in the dark part of the mouth. Paint in there later. I didn't have them shaped right, so I just went right over it. Okay. Now we can take this brush with that nice warm pink. One thing to remember, especially in this piece with the way the light is hitting it, bottom lip is going to be more brighter the top lip. And that's the case most of the time. Just has to do with light and shadow. Mix a little crimson and a little bright red. Top of the lip in shadow. Might need to be even a little darker than that. That color mixed. I'm going to use a smaller brush to put it on. A little bit of finer control. There, that's better. Work it down to give that texture of the lip. I'm going to take some of that here again and mix that with that. And along the bottom, add a little more shadow. Mix all three of those hues together. Maybe that'll work a little better. Needs a little more. I think what it really needs is more of that flesh tone. It's standing out a little too much, a little too pinkish there. I think this will work better. That almost makes our lips look a little too chapped there, so smooth that out a little bit. Still want that lip texture in there, but we don't want it to look like she's been outside on a cold day. All right, now that same shadowy red, I'm going to use to paint in the top lip. And then we're going to get some of that real shadowy red there for the bottom. Not all the way across, though. Feel like that bottom lip shadow there's too dark. I think that'll work for now. Gonna get what do you need though? Some of this lighter skin tone here, that side. And we're gonna put a little right here as well. Yeah, we need a little right there. A little bit. Top of the lip right here. Move some of that out. And a little more. And a little bit right here. I can see in the painting. Or in the photo, I mean. Can't see in the painting before you put it on the thing. Canvas, Scott. Pull that out a little more. We need a little more. Right there. And I even think it's almost a little bit of a reverse dimple. Right here. Yep. Oh, I got a dark streak there that I didn't want, so put a little of that color over that. And then brighten up this shaded area. Just a little bit, just part of it right there. All right, now we can go ahead. Let's get her eyes painted in. I'll take mostly black, just a tiny touch of the burnt sienna. Pull it flat. we're just getting in the general shape. I think I shaped it wrong. Let's skin color. We're just gonna. I think that needs a little more red. I'm gonna shape that a little bit. I'm going to take my 3/8 brush here. Okay. Lighten up this shadow on this side a little bit. Get it right in here. Be lazy, just use my finger to wipe that off. There, that's a better color. Back to our 8" in the black. Here should be pretty much all black. That's just what it looks like in the photo, at least. And then we'll take our little number 2 brush. Let's get that burnt sienna. Black. Shape the eye a little bit more. In there. Eyelash right there. More dark corner. That looks really sleepy, doesn't it? No more. Sienna on there. I need to pull this out a little closer. Frame. Put that in a little bit. There's the look I was looking for. That looks more like a confused eye than a sleepy eye. More shade in there. Above that eye. All right. Go into our next eye now. Black for the top outline. that sienna and black for the bottom outline and the eyelashes. Let's put a few more in over here too. Fill this one out a little more. A little shade on that side. This one is pretty much all shaded all the way into there. I'm just going to take a touch of sienna. Corner there. Dot it in. And blend it a little bit. Blended it too much there, didn't I? I'm going to reshape these eyes a little bit because I feel like they should be looking off a little to the side. And I kind of put them all like looking straight ahead, and I don't want that. So, coming over here. I might need, I think I do. I think I need to take a short break and let that dry. And then we'll come back to it. Because right now I'm just kind of mixing mud on there. And the more layers I build up, the harder it'll be to get the detail I want. So we're gonna let these eyes dry. I'm gonna take about a 15-20 minute break. Obviously it won't be that long for you. I'll be back real soon. All right, welcome back. Is it fully dried now? So, because it's fully dried, we're gonna go ahead. Get a little mist on there. And one thing I want to do before I do anything else is touch up these shadow areas in the glasses. So I'm going to do the dark one first. I'm just going to take black, burnt sienna, blend it out really good. I need to darken that up a little bit, don't I? Alright, and again, just using that corner. Just pull it down. Okay. And we have our lighter one over here. We're going to take a little tiny touch of phthalo green again. our sienna. We're in a little more sienna, I think. Some of that yellow ochre. Don't want very much. It's very gentle. Okay. Alright, now we can go in and fix those eyes. I think I'm going to use that color with a little tiny touch of black mixed in. Darken just a little bit. Just kind of make it look like she's looking off to the side a little bit and thinking. You need a little more black right in here. Then we can take. I'm going to use you with a little zero brush. Get it wet. And just put a little color in there. Okay. Now I can take a little 1-inch brush. I'll blend that a little bit down further. There. And that same dark sienna, burnt sienna and black mix. Let's go ahead. First thing we're going to do, still a little light. I just want to touch it a little bit darker on the nostrils. There, that'll do. And I'll take that color, maybe a little more sienna. And start putting in these messy eyebrows. Painting this in, I understand why in her video this character makes such a big deal about how the shopper's eyebrows are lustrous and in such good shape. Didn't catch before, but it makes sense now. Makes me laugh a little bit. These are going to be under the glasses a little bit, so we don't have to worry too much about smoothing out the bottom of them. Okay. She looks decidedly less creepy with those eyebrows now. And what do you say we go ahead and paint in the glasses now? Same little 1-inch brush, black. Start with black. A little bit of water, not too much, not quite inky consistency, but getting kind of close. So we gotta add our sienna. Where do you want it to glide? All right. There might still be a little too much blacks. There, that should work. Keep the line as straight as you can. That's why I like this little 1/8 inch brushes. Still let you block in some color and detail, but you don't have to agonize over every little brush stroke quite like you would with some, if you're using a smaller brush. Cleaning that up a little bit. Need a little bit of that unhighlighted first layer of skin color there. It just makes it look like a shadow a little bit. If your glasses aren't perfectly even, that's okay. And I thank Miss Maybell. She's a little bit on what's a polite way to put it? A little bit on the dingbat side. I'll just leave it at that. So, these glasses have probably seen better days. I'll make sure to put a link in the description to the video, so if any of you are into ASMR and you haven't seen this one, you should watch it. This one I watch more for the humor. She's a very humorous character. There's only 2 videos with this character that she does. It's part of a bigger series called Babblebrook. But it is by far one of my favorite go-to ASMR videos to watch. Don't watch it really for the tingles, watch it more for the relaxation. Just the humorous nature of the character is very soothing to me when my anxiety is running high. Okay, so we have our little zero brush again. Just gonna pull, and I have a mixture of the milky white titanium. Pull it through there. And putting the highlights on the glasses. Where the light's hitting it. A little bit right there too. A little bit down here. And if you get that unevenness in there, you can blend it out. Just clean the brush a little bit. Blend it out. These highlights a little bit more on the white side than I wanted, but I'm not gonna fix it. It still looks good to me, so I'm not gonna sweat them. I'm gonna go though and smooth that out. Another thing we can do is same brush. Make a slightly lighter sienna tone. Add some highlights onto those eyebrows. Not a whole lot, just a little bit here and there. That's actually the same color, isn't it? Always hard to tell when I have black canvas and the white palette paper. I always feel like some of my prep work should be just painting. Just spreading black paint over my palette paper, letting it dry. Take a little bit of burnt umber and just put in some slightly darker highlights on those glasses. Just shape them a little bit. In fact, I'm gonna go with that dark again. I'm gonna paint over that highlight. It's not as round as the other one. I want it to be a little more round. I think that looks better. Okay. Now let's take our 1/2-inch brush here. Black. Sienna. Nice mix. Now we're gonna spritz the paint so it doesn't dry as quick. A little more sienna. Well, let's go ahead. Let's add a little touch of that brilliant red. Give it a little more vibrancy. Not too much because we gotta come in and add shadows and highlights to it. Instead of base coat, we want to pull it as flat as we can. With that water in there, if we pull it flat, it'll dry a little bit quicker. Dab in a little more water. microphone back on. Oh, that's going to be a lot of fun editing that audio. Just brightening it up here because in this area of the hair there's more highlights. So I feel like, shut up train. So I feel like even our darkest areas shouldn't be quite as dark as the rest of it. And we'll blend it together a little bit. See the areas where it's drying already. There's not a whole lot of contrast. That's okay. We want that dark in there. And we can build up our highlights. Go back to that 1/2-inch brush. Just take some sienna and a little bit of that black. That'll be our first layer of highlights. And a broken, chiseled brush here. Or we can go in and I think we need a little more sienna. Go in and start adding some highlight. It's a very messy hairstyle that she has, doesn't it? I wonder where Erin runs the Goodnight Moon channel. Kind of makes me wonder. She bought the wig cheap and it was already distressed, or if it's something she had to distress herself. Blend some of that in a little bit more. It's a little too contrasting. Just not to get a little bits of texture in there as well. All right. I have a smaller brush here. It's also broken. We're gonna mix. Let's mix milky white. A little yellow ochre into there. Maybe a touch more of the sienna. We're not going to put very much paint on this brush. And we do want it. Doing it while the previous layer is still wet so that it blends in more. Automatically. Let the wet paint work for you. Instead of letting each layer dry and agonizing over mixing your colors, you can just let that wet paint do that blending automatically for you. In fact, I am going to put Another little spritz of water on there. It's very important that you don't hide all of the dark. You definitely want some dark in there. If it gets to be a little too bright, that just means you're using too much pressure. So ease up on the pressure. More little tufts over here. I think I want a few more right over here. Be right there. And if you want, make a color in between those two values. And just every little bit here and there. Kind of the more layers you do, the different colors make there look even messier. The light's hitting it all slightly different angles. Then we can go in with some black. One more shadow in some of these areas. Get a little water in there. And the more you do that, just the more little things you do to add some variation. More visually interesting it's going to look, and we do want Miss Maybell here to be the focus of attention in the painting. So did miss a few areas. I need a little highlighting though, so let's go back in. Right down here by the ear. A little spot in the middle, a little spot there. A little bit running down by this ear, I think. And where it's tufted out there. Alright, I think that's gonna do for the hair. I might come back later, I might not. I kinda like how it looks. We'll see how it looks when that black paint dries. It'll kinda dry in value close to that background black. Alright. Next we're gonna paint in a rock. Just a boring old rock. There's a story behind it though. In the video, Miss Maybell is showing you some of the dragon eggs that she has for sale. And one of them she's describing it as talking about how it's kind of rockish, rock-like. And then she realizes that it is indeed just a rock. And it always makes me chuckle. Let's go ahead and paint in this rock now. Again, we're just kind of putting in a base. On this one, even though I'm wetting the brush, there's some areas where the paint breaks. I might just leave them. So it'll add a little texture to our rock. Rocks have lots of texture. This, or at least this rock does. It is not a polished rock by any stretch of the imagination. I'm varying my brush strokes a little bit as I'm filling it in, just to add little nuances to that texture. All right, I'm going to add a little sienna to that now. Some of this is in shadow. Be a little darker. Add a little black to that. Just to dull it down a little bit. It was a little too warm compared to the base rock color. Flatten that out. Maybe down here in the bottom. Working a little bit of that. Right here we can work in a little bit. Right there. Now, okay. Now I think I'm gonna take some of that sienna. That's not sienna. It's take a little bit of that yellow ochre. A little green. Black. I'm gonna take some milky white. A little more yellow ochre. I'm going to take the brush I normally use for foliage. First thing we're going to do, load some of that up. I'm going to beat in some shadow. Little shadow areas on that rock. Build it up a little bit. Start with black. I'm going to take some sienna, mix that in there, lighten it a little bit. Now we're going to take our highlight color, but I want it to look like the highlights are hitting a little bit different than the shadow. Using just a slightly different shaped brush to pat those on. Take my little number 0 brush and just paint in a few more little dark areas on there. Kind of blot them in. I'm going to take my 1/4 inch or 3/8. Whatever it is. I want more of a gray color here. I want to clean that edge up. A little rough. I can also use that to splotch in a little more color. Even use this same brush to put a few more little highlights here and there. Now, using a different brush, it gives it a slightly different texture. Okay. Now we've got our rock in there. We can go ahead. We need to mix up some more of that nice peachy flesh color for the hand here. There, that area is dry. Okay. That does look a little dark, so mix in a little more milky white. Yeah. That ended up being a good match. And leave that area there, because that's highly shadowed. Yep. Smooth that out a little bit. This finger's looking a little chubbier than I wanted, so we're just gonna go in with it. Rock color. And then take a little black and that skin tone. As for this finger in particular, I'll put a little bit in here too. In fact, I think we need, yeah, a little darkness right there. Clean that brush. Get a little more milky white. You know, heck with it. Let's do a little titanium white in there. There. Highlight on these fingers. Help keep them separated a little bit. Just a little bit on the tip on that one. Clean that brush. Go in again. Know the drill by now. Kind of blend that out. And then I'm going to take a little shout color in between these fingers. Right, now we got slightly lighter skin color there. We also need a slightly darker one. That should work nicely. Go ahead and go in. Let's get our 1/8. No, where is our 1/8 inch brush? Right here. And that's slightly rosier color. I'll mix a little more burnt sienna in there just to darken it a little. No, still not. How about a little tiny touch of black? And I'll help desaturate it a little bit. Still a little too bright. A little more black. Still got a nice rosy tint to it, even though it's desaturated. And then we'll take that lighter color. Go and add the highlight on those nails. See, I need to reshape that finger a little bit with some of that rock color. Won't be hard. You can put a little line in between right here. More shadow under that one just to delineate it a little bit. Same with over here. Get a little water in there. It's thickening up on me. There we go. Now it's blended nice and easy. Okay. Now we can take a little bit of water to that darker nail color. I left a little black in the brush. Just so we can add in a little shadow on the bottom of the fingers here. Little hints, indications. Folded skin and the knuckles. I think I want to take that color with a little more black. I just want to push these eyes a little more over in the direction of our rock. Now, right. Hitting the home stretch now, folks. Okay, I think the hair looks good to me. I think we're done with Maybell, so we just got one other thing to put in. It is a mythical creature shot. And in the video, you can hear a very naughty little creature wreaking havoc in my head. That creature is a little dragon. I mean, she's selling the traveler into a shop of dragon eggs, so let's mix a little phthalo green and that is. Forget sometimes just how strong that phthalo is. Phthalo and that crimson just overpower everything. Alright, so we're just putting the base color for that dragon. I've decided he's kind of red. And we're going to get his wing in there first. that's the part that's furthest away from the viewer. Now we can add some ochre to that color. Put in some highlights. We'll take our little thin boy here. Bone, membranes in the wing. I can't remember the dragon's name for some reason. Sebastian strikes a chord with me, but I don't think it's that. Maybe I'll just call him Trogdor. Sorry for the gratuitous Homestar Runner reference there. Nah, I'm not. I should never have to apologize for a Homestar Runner reference. Okay. Just go in their 1/8 inch brush. Start painting in his body. That nice kind of bronzy brown color. One thing I did forget to do was blend out that highlight a little bit. There we go. All right, back to that bronzish color. Back leg here. Another back leg here. I'm going to leave some black in there for shadow. Spritz a little so it stays moist. I am trying to do lots of quick little strokes because I want the skin to look rough, kind of leathery, reptilian. We can go in and punch in some scales on it later as well, but that'll come later in the process. I think I got that a little too damp. I'll mix some dry paint to go in there as well. crick in his neck there. Like he is. I feel like he's looking at that rock too. Wondering why Maybell is holding it so delicately. Dragons ain't dumb though. He knows it's a rock. He knows it's not an egg. Okay. I'm gonna take a little yellow ochre. And we're just punching in a little bit here and there where the light is dancing on those scales a little bit. You don't want to overdo it. There's some areas that won't catch as much light. There won't be that kind of golden light bouncing off of them. Like on that leg right there, that wouldn't happen. But what we can do, some of those shadowed areas. So punching some up on his back as well. What we can do in some of those more shadowy areas is just punching a little straight burnt sienna. And that reddish color on the wing is fading into the background a little too much. So I'm just gonna mix some of that. Mix some black into that. Now we gotta paint in our dragon's horns. Where the light's playing off. Got my paint a little thick there. Pull off as much of that as I can. Go back in here. Maybe those two meet in the middle. Add a little shade to those. But let's take some of that skin color, push it back a little bit. Light at the top of his neck. There. A little bit on that leg. Okay. Take that 1/8 inch brush again. Mix mix some of that into that brown. I think we want a little black in there. Make it almost a gray. There. A little bit brighter than the top part. A little counter shading. Counter shading is quite the evolutionary trick. And if you're not familiar with counter shading, what that is animals that would be. See it primarily in the sea, though you also see it with birds sometimes, where top of them is dark. So say if you're in the water and you're looking down, it'd be harder to see that predator because the top is darker, so it blends into that ocean color. And the bottom of the animal is white or light. And what that does is if you're underneath and look it up, it also makes it harder to see that predator because they blend into the surface better. And there's some birds that do that too, although that might have more to do with heat exchange than camouflage. Where if they're getting hot, they can turn the white part of their body towards the light to where it won't absorb as much heat. And if they're getting cool, they can turn the dark end of their body towards a light source. So that dark part of their body will absorb more of that heat. Okay, I think for his eyes, I'm gonna mix a fiery bronze color. I'm gonna make that one kind of smaller to where it looks like he's squinting a little bit, like he is just as confused as Maybell. Maybe even just as confused as we are as to why he's paying so much attention to a rock. All right, your nostrils in there. Definitely wanna. He's a naughty guy, this one, so put a little bit of devil look into his eyes. And I think he needs a tooth. Sticking out of his mouth there. And I think he needs, is his little devilish gleam in his eye. I like that. I'll take some black now. Ooh. Put a little shade around his eye. Just to help it stand out a little more. Let's see. I think I need to add a little shade on that leg and then pull down. I feel like I need to do a little touching up on her face now. First thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to mix a little sienna and yellow umber. Little variations of the color on these scales. And just to make them a little more visually interesting. I'm going to take a little black. With a little water. There we go. And get an outline. Just separate his legs from the other side of his body. I know that looks really contrasty right now, but when it dries, it'll flatten out and won't be as glossy. I'm just gonna put some black here, shape his jaw a little bit. Huh. I just realized this poor fella only has one wing. And that will just not do. Oh, that's. I think I picked up a little bit of dried paint on that brush. Don't need that. We're just going to follow the contour of one of the bars on that cage behind him. Add a little more highlights on this one. And we're going to find that 1/8 of an inch brush. And go back into the scarlet. And of course the black. Get it good and dark. Good and dark. Add a little sienna to that. Feel like the wing supports. Gonna be a little darker in this one. It's a little shaded. Wing struts, finger bones, whatever you want to call them. Let's add a little more variation, a little more light onto that one too. Just so it stands out a little bit. All right, now. As I was saying before I noticed that, I want to make this lip a little bit thicker. So, bring our shadow down, just a touch. Clean the brush. Blend the edge out. Now we need a nice pinkish color again. Get a little more of that red tint in there. That's too bright, but it will at least allow us to put in a base coat. There, now it looks like she's mid-sentence and stopping, and she's not disgusted by what she's looking at. Get that red back in there now. And we'll take a little black in there. Still nice and bright. Maybe not bright, but nice and vibrant. Yes. All right, that looks a lot better. Now I just want to blend out that top a little bit. Okay. I want to add a little pink. Highlights on some of these fingers as well. Get a dark red there. Get a liner, get it good and wet. Well, this one we almost want like an inky consistency. I'm just going to go in and put an outline on those nails. We're also going to expand the highlight on some of them because they're just a little too dark. There. Now they look more like fingers. And I think I'm going to use that same brush and take a little tiny touch of titanium white or dragon's teeth. We need to paint in his claws. I think for that I'm going to start with, again, yellow ochre and burnt sienna mix. He's a baby dragon, tiny. Big claws, like a puppy has with their giant feet and ears. He'll grow into them. We can get a little milky white and put a little highlight on him. Take that brush and flatten them out. Blend it a little bit. I think I do want to add a little more black to his pupils. There. Bright-eyed. Well, not bushy-tailed, but yeah, bushy-tailed wouldn't be the word. I think the word would be scaly-tailed. Bright-eyed and scaly-tailed. Take a quick look here, see if there's anything else I wanna. Oh, shade on the lip here I missed. Pull it up into the corner as well. Probably wouldn't hurt to And I think, in my world at least, let's see. I think that I want to put a little bit of a flesh-toned wash over that rouge. I think it's just a little too strong. I'm just going to make a flesh-colored paint. We're going to get a little water in it. A lot of water. About 25-30% water. And we're just going to gently put a little paint over that area. Clean the brush. Pull some of it off. That pretty much covered it completely. That's not what I wanted to do. So we'll add a little red into that wash. Still pretty bright. Burnt sienna, maybe. You know, a little more warm brown in tone instead of that bright pinkish red. I think that'll do. Maybe a tish more. Right in the middle. Clean the brush. Blend the edge. Go to that wash again, only not load as much. There, that works. Now, of course, I need to clean the edge of those glasses a little bit. Get a little black back in them. And I think Miss Maybell, this kind of lady, would be unapologetic about having a few freckles. So I'm just going to take black and burnt sienna. Those I'm going to scratch off. They were a little too, that paint was too thick. Okay. Those might be a little too dark, so we're only going to do a few. And I'm going to mix some sienna, have some lighter ones. A few in under the glasses there. And I think with that, I'm going to call this one done. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint, and of course I spoke too soon. But I think you were expecting that. If you've watched before, you know. I'm just thinking that black area, I want a few little things. I'll put a few more streaks of that color in there as well. Just here and there. There we go. And with that, I'm going to call this one done of Miss Maybell. Special thanks to Goodnight Moon, who doesn't know I'm doing this, but I hope if she sees the video, she appreciates it. One little more touch-up spot there. Tell you, a painter's work is never done. More color in the wings there. I'll tell you, it's always something, isn't it? That's all right, though. I really enjoy the process, so I don't complain if I get to spend a few more minutes at a canvas. All right, now for realsies this time. I mean it. I am done. Except, sorry, I'm just enjoying messing with you folks a little bit. I just want to highlight the lip a little more. I'm not going to use that brush though, it's a pain in the rear. Let's see, yeah, right in here, just a little highlight. And if you feel like they're too bright, just, okay, clean brush, blend them in a little bit. Even take, where is that color? Right there. Darken it a little if you want, and kind of, that wasn't dark enough. There I go again, not knowing when to leave well enough alone. There. All right. My brushes are in the water. I'm about to take the microphone off, and that means I'm done. And of course, I hope if you were trying to paint along or just watching to learn something that you did. Hope if you're just watching me to relax that that did the trick. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night, a wonderful day tomorrow, and I'll see you all soon again, my friends.